I would like to introduce you to two talented business software professionals that are experienced with cloud management. Here on the right side, this is Mary, and on the left, this is John. Usually, both of them are working in a big project team. They are sharing their cloud experience with us today. The story is about clouds and, to be more specific, about the service model software as a service. In short terms, we'll call it SaaS. In this model, users gain access to application software and databases where cloud providers manage the infrastructure and platforms that run the applications. It is one of the topics everybody is talking about. So does John. Gartner calls it a disruptive phenomenon. Because of its benefits, SaaS becomes more and more relevant in the business context. SaaS convinces with a lot of advantages. It can be accessed with any device, anytime and anywhere, with reduced costs for IT infrastructure and development. Everything is up to date by having regular releases and patches. It integrates seamlessly and provides accelerated time to value. That's why business professionals are heading towards the service model SaaS within their projects. However, the idea of John is just the first step towards the SaaS service model and its rollout. There's much more to come, such as the selection of a provider with a suitable solution. Even if it is not as complex as on-site solutions, setting up the basics for SaaS is time-consuming and not less complex, especially if you have never done it before. A lot of things need to be checked and assured. Therefore, we recommend to think about professional consulting at this early stage. One relevant selection criteria is data security and privacy. The provider's strategies to stay secure need to be checked in detail to make sure they fit to your needs. In facing security issues directly and getting them out of the way right at the start, both progressive requirements of the business department as well as technical requirements of the IT department are covered. Everything is set to get into contact with the selected provider and enter into a business relationship. However, Mary forgot two things. On the one hand, she is not the only tenant of the software. Every matter is affected by this fact. It's not only about Mary and her company, it's about the community of tenants. On the other hand, Mary is not buying the software, she is renting it. It's just like car rental. You can use it, configure it to a certain degree, but you must not tune the engine. This includes that Mary, John, and the overall team have limited influence on further development and evolution of the rented software. In contrast to individually developed software, not every change can be realized. To really understand SaaS software and its according processes, John and Mary need to actively change their attitudes on this. These are challenges you need to be prepared for. Design your processes for that they fit to SaaS and take all involved parties by the hand, which includes leading them along for that they are able to act accordingly. After dealing with the general conditions, it's all about finding out what's inside. Here's what we discovered about the factors contributing to a successful SaaS rollout in an international context. One of the key elements to success when rolling out a SaaS solution is to have the business processes well defined and established in the company's business units, meaning the departments of a company. Sometimes business units are also known as markets within international rollouts. In addition to the definition and establishment of business processes, John and Mary have to be ready to adapt the defined processes according to the SaaS product, because sometimes it is not possible to configure or adapt the product to fully support each detail of a process. So, the first success factor here is to have the processes in place and further to be ready to adapt them. However, there's more than just having specified business processes, such as applying the business processes within the real world. During rollout, it is a well-known fact that, especially in large markets outside of Europe, the defined central processes are either not defined well enough in detail or, in the worst-case scenario, do not meet the reality's needs at all. This is a big challenge because large business units are usually not able or even allowed to adapt the processes. What you need under these circumstances is find a good balance between the headquarters guidelines and the target business units, meaning the departments or markets. Governance might assist you in that case. To sum it all up, at first select a few representative business units, departments or markets, then design the business processes and a standard model of your SaaS in cooperation with them. That's how you can ensure that the processes and the core system configuration will be quickly and successfully applied. If your SaaS solution is to be used in an enterprise environment, you usually have to integrate it with current IT systems to ensure the business process continuity as well as a good acceptance of a solution by end users. Integration starts with getting the organizational structures and user data in the system, continuing the single sign-on for an easy access and ending with key reports or billing data to be transferred to other target systems. When using a SaaS solution, you do not have a full technical access to the system, but you need to rely on predefined data inbound and outbound points to meet your system integration needs. Since the data is transmitted over the internet, don't forget about IT security standards like data encryption as well. In this case, the key element to success is the IT design phase, which should not be underestimated. So be sure to plan enough resources to identify the right solution to the business requirements without ignoring the specific integration aspects of a SaaS solution. Rollout is a challenging time, but the day will come when all rollout activities are completed and users are happily accessing the new service that is adapted for their needs. Take a second and enjoy. As you might imagine, this is not the end of the story. SaaS influences rollout processes as we have just seen, but it affects daily processes after the rollout as well. This last picture of John and Mary shows us that ideas of the tenant and vision of the provider are contrary sometimes. While Mary has a new idea for a process change and a need for adapting the SaaS system, the provider has its own vision and direction for further development of the software. This includes that sometimes certain changes might not be possible according to system restrictions, and that in addition, the tenant always needs to react to new developments of the provider. That's why John needs to run after the cloud and its changes. For your inline release processes, this means make sure that your process not only fits to your company standards, but to your provider standards as well. Release processes that have been lived forever and ever might not work well anymore in combination with SaaS software. Your provider will release changes at a certain point in time. Ask yourself how this will affect your users and how you should design an overall process to integrate provided changes and your configuration changes best. On a regular basis, you should check the fit of your provider's changes to your existing configurations. It happens that your provider establishes a completely new module of the software and retires an old one after a while. Make sure that you are prepared for this kind of changes. Make sure to keep on the move for adapting the business process you defined if required by a change of your provider. To summarize it all, SaaS software, as one of our hype topics these days, opens up new opportunities for your business, but brings along several challenges. Therefore, keep the following in mind. Define your business processes and be ready to adapt them if needed. Develop a core model in cooperation with selected business departments, especially if you are operating in an international context. Set up a strong IT design team for integration tasks Be flexible. Since SaaS does not only offer you flexibility, it also requires you to be more flexible. Think SaaS. SaaS thinking needs to be established. Existing mindsets need to be changed. Be prepared.